Hi, everyone. How are y'all? Hope you're doing well. I meant to say, God damn it, I meant to say, hi, everybody. I love when people with, bird accounts for birds say every birdie. I just think that's fun. Okay, I just wanted to talk about Catfish for a little bit because I love that show and there are a bunch of clips of it on the YouTube. Um, when I watch it on YouTube, usually what I do is I just like see the person who's contacted Neve and Kami or Neve and whoever talk about their catfish, and then I fast forward to when they actually meet the catfish. Um, it's a pretty interesting concept. I haven't seen the original Catfish movie that Neve made about him. But I've definitely seen the show. The show's been on for quite a while. It's probably one of the only like sound like reliable shows on MTV. So that's something to be noted. But I like a lot of things about the show. So I love that and I've noticed that there's really like a type of person who does the catfishing, or types plural of people who do the catfishing. Um and so the types of people who do the catfishing are people faking it to be on TV, which is the least common type of person. Are people um who are being dishonest pretty openly, and then there are people who are being for real. And surprise to no one, the middle group is the highest group of people. Like that's the most frequent catfish type that there is someone who's being dishonest. Um, so I'm really sorry. I don't know all the names of the people who are catfish. That's just not something that I'm gonna remember. There are a bunch of people. Also, for that matter, I'm sure a ton of the people who are catfish on the show that I've seen, like they just run together for me. So I might very well be mixing some of them up or confusing different catfish for other catfish. But you understand my meaning, okay? It's sorry, but it's like not that important. Okay, so something I just want to say, and I know other people have said it, and people say it all the time in the comments, is that how can you be catfished in this day and age? I guess an easier way for it to be done is if it's a team effort. So like someone you're using someone's pictures who you know personally, right? If you're the catfish, you're using someone's pictures who you know personally. Maybe that person was even like, "Oh, sure, yeah, you can use my pictures. Like, let's talk to this person." Um, and in that case, like it's easier to fake because you can get that person to pose for pictures or what have you. Um, but really, there's just no excuse for being catfished in this day and age. Like, I don't give a fuck what anyone says. I'm also going to talk a little bit about the people that like the catfished, the people who are catfished. So, I used to have an Instagram. I don't have a personal account anymore, but sometimes people would message me on there. Sometimes men would message me on there. For real, they would. And I was always immediately very suspicious of that every single time, and rightfully so, because just about every single time there were guys wasting my fucking time. Um, and so a lot of them would just like message me and be like, "Hey," and I'd be like, "Can I help you?" And they'd be like, "Oh, just saying hi," and they wouldn't have jack shit to say to me. So that was just confusing to me. Like they literally just wanted to say hi and say nothing else. But um, here's an example of a dude who messaged me. So this one guy messaged me, and he wasn't bad looking, um, but he wasn't really that great looking either. But like, I I explained to him, I was like, listen, dude, like if you're real, you need to send me a voice message. That's a really great way to clear out catfish real fucking quick. They should send you a voice message. Period. It should be on IG. You can do voice messages on just about anything. You can even usually very frequently do them in text. Send me a voice message saying this. And if they don't do it or they hesitate to do it, um block that bitch. Like for real, because they're messing with you. But so this guy did actually send me a voice message and he didn't really say anything of consequence. We really weren't saying anything of consequence. We had maybe interacted like 3 or 4 times, every single time saying nothing. And just, for like fourth or fifth time that we interacted, he was like, Leah, I love you. And I was like, block. Like, get the fuck away from me. You don't know me, you weirdo. Like, why would you say shit like that you love me? And that is a textbook abuser tactic, which is love bombing someone or giving someone tons of compliments. Like, that is a thing that people do to get your attention, to keep your attention, to flatter you. And then a lot of people who don't have a lot of self-confidence are like, he said the thing, or she said the thing, he or she said the thing the very thing I wanted to hear. That means he or she likes me. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. Sorry. But I understand why people would come to that conclusion. So the people who get catfished, I feel like they're having some of the same issues that the catfish themselves is having, because they're really truly lying to themselves by telling themselves that someone they've been texting with for 4 years and they've never spoken to on the phone or never video chatted with or anything like that is into them. Like, do you want a textual relationship? If I'm not against that, like, truly, if you just want to text with someone and have a text relationship that way, go ahead. But like, at the same time, you want to know that that person isn't lying to you, but yeah, so these people like go along with it when someone has been texting them or messaging them for years and not giving them a phone call, not really giving them a picture. Here's another way to fucking get a catfish real quick. Is if they say they're to be like, hey, what are you doing? And but don't just say like, oh, not much. Don't take that as an answer. Don't accept that as an answer. You have to be like, no, what are you actually doing? And if they're like, oh, I'm making lunch, like, be like, send me a picture of you making lunch. Send me a picture of you holding 3 fingers up. Send me a picture of you, like, if they're like, oh, I'm at the gym, like, send me a picture of you at the gym. Like, it shouldn't be an issue to send someone a picture of something that you're actually doing, right? If you, in fact, actually are there. And all this bullshit, all these fucking bullshit excuses that the catfish give. They're like, oh, my camera's broken, or like, it's dark, or whatever the fuck. Like, the catfish must know on some level that this person is fucking with them. Like, come on. They want to be fucked with, though. A lot of them do. Because they wouldn't continue talking to these people if they didn't want to be fucked with. Quote me. So, and you really have to draw a line. If someone is messaging you and they're like just not giving you enough information, or you feel weird about it, like, there's got to be a point where you're just like, okay, X, Y, and Z, that's enough, I was talking to someone who I had kind of a relationship with, not like a really romantic one, but we were just talking, and we were talking on this like mobile game. You could message within the game. And I just got super annoyed with him because, like, I felt like I was initiating conversation more than he was. So, being me, what I really actually did this was I added up all the messages. I calculated the amount of messages we had sent each other within the game. And I don't think I need to tell you who was responsible for sending 63% of the messages and who was responsible for sending 32% of the messages. But by that point, when I found out that I had sent way more messages than him, I was like, I'm just done with this. Like, we don't need to talk anymore. But there was more to it than that. But you get my meaning, you know. If you're initiating more than the other person is initiating, like that is a problem. Okay? Don't think that it's not, because it is. And if you're sending someone pictures and the other person is not sending you pictures, like that's also a problem. Or the other person only sends you certain pictures of them, also a problem. I've had morons do that to me before. Like, send me the same goddamn picture of them that I already fucking saw 10 other times. Not 10 other times, because I don't let it get that far. But anyway, let's get back to the show. The people on that show are pretty interesting. I'm saying that about the catfished and the catfish. And let me give them a little bit of slack here and say this, and that is that wouldn't it be nice if you found someone you liked on social media and you two started talking and that person was real and you met up in real life and you hit it off? That would be great, right? People think about that. Like, that's not an unreasonable thought at all. That happens a lot, you know? But I'm saying, like, it gets to the point where, like, sure, I understand how you were interested in that. Sure, I understand how maybe that was sort of started with this person. But I'm saying it gets to the point where you have to be like, okay, is this person's kind of messing with me? Or like, okay, we've been talking for, a while and you have not called me. You have not sent me a voice message. You sent me the same 3 pictures. Like, something's up, But I'm just saying, like, I understand how people get in their own heads about that fantasy, about wanting to find someone. And then it's hard to let go, but it ain't that hard, fam. Okay? It ain't. I was going to say something else about that. What else was I going to say about that? Oh, what I was going to say was some people feel more comfortable interacting not in person. And I get that, to a degree, though, to a degree. I get that maybe you're not super outgoing. Maybe you don't want to introduce yourself to anyone in person, or it's just easier for you to do it through text or whatever. Like, I get that. But if that's the case, then still both parties or anyone should, if they're not catfishing you, they should be willing to show you that they're not catfishing you by sending you a picture of your request, or by calling you, or by video calling you, or voice messaging you, Anyway, so the show, I love Neve. I think he's so cute. And I really liked Max a lot too. I'm not really sure why Max left. I feel like Max left because he was too blunt, which is obnoxious because he called people out, and he would kind of do it in like an angry way sometimes, but like, can you blame him? Because a lot of these catfish are assholes, for real. A lot of them are real fucking pricks who deserve to be shamed on camera. Quote me again. Something annoyed me though about Max and Neve, for that matter, is they're always wearing like trans lives, blah blah blah, whatever the fuck. Like, trans lives do matter, obviously, but I'm just saying, when they were like, I think both of them, Neve and Max, at one point were at protect trans youth, and then I know for a fact that in another episode Max wore the future is female shirt. Like, fam, those two things do not go together. Anyway, that's actually a pretty clever way, though, to promote any kind of propaganda or cause that you want to promote. But okay, so eventually Max left, and they had a bunch of different hosts, and now they have Kami, who's on there permanently, as far as I understand it, and I think she's so great, and I'm so glad they have her on the show, because what's so interesting on the show is that the catfish very frequently try to do textbook abuser tactics, and they do it on Kami. On camera, which doesn't work because like I've said many times before, like the camera will take stuff out of you. You will show your true self on the camera. And and a lot of people just say super misogynistic things to Kami, and they think they can because those things work in real life. Like that one obese woman who was also on My 600-Pound Life who was on Catfish. I think her name was Ashley. She was like, oh, this bitch about Kami, like to her face. And Kami was like, we're not doing that. Like, you can't do that to me. And they deserve to be shamed on camera for it. They deserve to do it on camera. Like, by all means, let's get more abusive people on camera doing their abusive shit. Because they deserve to be shamed for it. And when you see it happening on camera, you can better process it. And I've just seen so many people do this typical insulting of Kami. It's always specifically her, too. They never did that to Max, and I know it's because she's a woman. They'll do this really distinct, overpowering to women or overpowering to a second party tactics, insults. It's just insults, honestly. They'll just be like, or they'll be like, don't ask that, or some stupid shit that they couldn't say to Max. So I love Kami. She's great. Okay, but so let's get to the Catfish. These people are out of it. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. They're really out of it. They're lying to themselves and to the other person who they're catfishing. What I've noticed a lot of the catfish do or say is a lot of them are like, oh, this really traumatic thing happened to me, and that's why I was catfishing you, or that's when we got in contact. And I feel like that's almost an abuser tactic, because they're like, oh, like, blah, 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 this terrible thing happened to me, and then I found you. So I feel like they're almost kind of doing that because they want pity, because they know that what they did was wrong, and they want the other person to be like, oh, I kind of understand how you reverted to catfishing. But it doesn't even work because, like, sorry this bad thing happened to you, but that doesn't give you the right to lie to someone about who you are for 2 years and pretend. That's another fucking abusive, creepy thing that these catfish do, is they pretend like they want to meet up, or they say that they want to meet up, or they plan to meet up, and then they're like, oh, I couldn't, and then they just bail on the other person, or they just like disappear, or they're like, oh, sorry, like my car broke down, or some stupid excuse to be like to act like, oh, like they couldn't make it to hanging out or whatever the fuck. I couldn't make it to meet up with you, but it's like, really? They're just trying to pull your chain, obviously. Okay, so the catfished. We're not going to talk about the catfished. So those are the people. That's the largest group, is the people who, like, and they don't always say that they had this traumatic thing happen in their life. They just eventually own up to the fact that, yeah, they were lying, because it's often also someone that they actually know in real life, that the catfished knows in real life. They're like, oh yeah, well, I liked you, but you weren't interested in me, or like, or yeah, it's weird that it's someone they know. Just, I'm thinking of the Tony voice because that shit is hilarious. That's like one of my favorite episodes. But I mean, in the comments, I think it might be down now, but at one point in the comments for that clip, So what happened was this gay guy was talking to this guy named Tony, and his cousin, who was a woman, was like trying to help. I think she might have contacted Neve and Max. I don't remember, but they were like trying to find Tony, and then finally the woman was like, "Guess what? I'm Tony." And she got back at him. She was doing the catfish thing to get back at him because he insulted her like 4 years prior. Oh my gosh. Anyway, so that I just thought that was particularly hilarious. So I'm saying sometimes they are like doing it to get back at the person that they kind of know. Um, Other times they're just like doing it because they like the person and they're not like confident enough to just be themselves. But that's the thing is that's why they have to catfish them is because they're like they're they know they're not what the other person wants, so they lie about who they are. Um Okay, so that's like the largest group, but that group kind of overlaps with like the creepy people. Like sometimes there are really creepy people who are doing the catfishing, or like they're like actually really malicious and fucking weird. Like that one guy who was like, "Are you gonna be my chocolate kiss?" Like there was this. I don't remember exactly what happened, but okay, there was a black guy who thought he was talking to a woman. And when they finally met up at like the park, it turned out the woman was actually this white guy who wasn't gay. Or no. Yeah, he wasn't gay, even though he made a fake profile of a woman to speak to a man romantically and did that for like a while. But he was that guy was cuckoo. Like, do we not see these people and don't we see these people and see that they're cuckoo because a lot of them are. Um a lot of them are like, "Oh, I was just doing it for fun." And like I mean that's sort of the paradox with social media, right? Is that you can catfish someone like for fun and technology allows it. So that's frightening, but I mean, that's something we got to be aware of. If you're aware of that, then you can better avoid it. Um, so yeah, some of the people who are catfishing, they have malintent, but other ones don't. Um, I forgot the third group I mentioned. Let's talk about the catfished. Okay, sorry, but the catfished. Oh, the third group is just people who made it up to be on TV. Um, which like I don't know why you would do that because like it's literally the show's job. Like everyone on the show knows exactly how to find out who you are, and they know how to find out who you've been talking to and how long you've been talking to them. Like you really fucking think you're going to get on camera and just fool everyone because you wanted to be on TV? That shit is dumb. Anyway, okay, the catfished. So honestly, they're partially to blame. Like I said, I know it's easy to get carried away with your fantasy of this person, of you wanting to be this, of you wanting to believe this person is real, right? I know that's easy to do. I know it's easy to just get into that mindset. A lot of people like think they're in relationships with these people. That they're talking to, which is kind of frightening. But I'm just saying, like I fucking said, like you don't really have an excuse to be catfished in this day and age. You should have proof of who you're talking to. That person should prove it to you that they are real. You should ask for specific pictures and they should send them to you, you know? Um But that's why I'm saying, like, they're kind of partially to blame at some rate because, like, so you've been talking, say someone's been talking to someone for like a year and you've only ever texted, or like you've only ever voice called, or sorry, um, video chatted and the person's like camera is covered, or it's a dark shot. Like, you can't experience that and be like, I didn't know. It's just kind of stew. Um, okay, I think that, oh, well, now this is so common that there's now like there's other people who are investigating catfish. Is there's like other people who are not associated with MTV who are looking into catfishing, which, like, I guess it just happens so often that that's gonna happen. Um, my advice is to have friends in real life. I could have mentioned dating sites on this, but I'm not going to mention them because I should make a completely different video about that. But yeah, so I'm trying to think if there's anything else I have to say about catfishing, but like, don't get caught up in that shit. Like, we are too good for that. Our technology is too advanced for that. And if here's a really great thing for me to say. If you have a bad feeling about talking to someone, if something is just like not sitting right with you about speaking to that person, drop them. Like, you trust your intuition because you're probably right.